Hi, I'm Angela Fehr, and today I want to demonstrate to you an abstract landscape using this inspiration photo of my home area in northern British Columbia, and a landscape that I painted based on this reference photo in a more realistic yet a looser style. I had an idea to paint this as an abstract, and I'm really excited about it. Here I've already prepped my paper, and I'm just gonna play this on double speed so that you don't have to sit through a long painting. I'm starting with my cobalt violet, just very wet, and my largest brush to stay loose. That's my suggestion of sky right there. I'm just painting it quickly using cobalt violet and phthalo blue for my darker blue, letting the color flow and let gravity take effect here, and so that pigment can just kind of move across the page. I'm using my pigments straight from the tube today so that I have the brightest, freshest color. Next is Nickel Azo Yellow from Daniel Smith. It's a really lovely yellow. I'm also going to use some vermilion, a Perylene Scarlet, and again, because I'm using my paint straight from the tube, it's taking a little extra time to select colors. Ordinarily I would just use what's already dry in my palette, but I really wanted color vibrance, and that just happens most easily using pure color moist from the tube. I had a little color fall onto my paper, and you'll see I'm just moistening it and moving it around. And now I'm using my Perylene Red to make some really vibrant tree color leaves. And the Nickel Azo Yellow. I'm using a mix of wet on wet and also wet on dry. So I have a combination of soft blurred edges where the wet color touches wet paper, and a crisper edge where the wet pigment is kind of restrained by dry paper. Now I'm letting some drips fall down using clear water. These are going to be roadways kind of for my tree trunks. When the color is placed, it'll flow along the areas that are already wet. I'm mixing a little Davies gray and violet so that I can, for my tree trunks, I really want them to have a purpley bluish feel, but also be just a hint of neutral. And I'm using gravity to let that color flow down into those little wet rivulets that I already painted with clear water. Gravity's taking over and giving me my tree trunks. A little extra water for areas that maybe didn't have a tree trunk the way I wanted. If you're screaming in the background, that's my kids playing outside on a beautiful spring day. Now I'm using my favorite dark, which is Payne's Gray, and it's a really kind of a bluish gray color and very dark. It's got some black in it, and I'm using that to paint my tree trunks. Again, just using very sure strokes, straight lines, and just suggesting those trees. In an abstract, you want to just give suggestions. You want to lead the eye and the mind without spelling everything out. Mixing up a little phthalo blue, a little phthalo green, and sap green to make my evergreen tree. And I want that to have a kind of teal green color. I'm adding some Payne's Gray as well for my darks. I want it to have a spiky feel, just a suggestion of an evergreen tree, which those spiky needles. Because I'm working in an area that's already damp with paint or water, it's going to have a lot of bleeding of color. Adding some more red in. Red and green are complementary colors, so they really, side by side each other, they really pop. Some more Nickel Azo Yellow. And I'm really just going with what feels good here, kind of carrying over my trees across to the edge of the page. I'm about 10 minutes into my painting at this point, and I'm about to let it go. Now I've come back to it, give it a chance to dry, and now I'm just going to go in I'm painting in a background now. I've made a neutral by mixing my Winsor Violet with my Nickel Azo Yellow and a little bit of Daniel Smith Green Gold. This is going to be just a background of trees, kind of in the background using water. Now I'm just moving the color around. There's my green gold, one of my favorite colors. It's just so much fun to use. And just popping a little bit of that in. Anytime you mix two complementary colors like violet and yellow, you're going to get a neutral shade. Just moving that color across the page, trying to do, in an abstract, you kind of want to do what feels right and balanced. So it's very freeing. Abstract painting is all about editing. What do you leave in? What do you take out? What do you leave unsaid? One thing I'm learning as I teach watercolor is that it's actually harder to know when to stop than what to paint. We tend to keep going, keep layering, and I'm trying to really limit myself and make things more simple. I love the look of pure color. And a fresh wash, and once you start layering over top of it, it's very easy to muddy it up. I'm adding in a little bit more hard edges, I guess, because my paper has had a chance to dry. What I'm putting in now will sit there with a crisp edge unless I blend it out a bit. So I'm just wanting a little more texture to some of those blurred areas. A few more crisp lines. In watercolor, you create texture by not by adding lumps and bumps to your painting like you might with a palette knife on an oil or acrylic painting, but just by adding, varying your edges and adding texture that way. Now I'm going into my evergreen tree, and I'm almost thinking of kind of a Chinese style of painting or Japanese, that sumi brushwork. And creating myself a tree trunk. Those darks are wonderful contrast to the so much bright color in this painting. I can define the edge of my evergreen as well with some of those dark colors, and then adding clear water to just move some of that color around. And I'm about 16 minutes into this painting now, so I'm going to give it a chance to dry and then come back to it and look at it with fresh eyes. So here I am back at it again, taking a look at how far I've come and what I've created so far, and trying to figure out what this painting needs. And I'm thinking a little more texture, a little more brushwork, a few more edges. Remember, this is videotaped at double speed. I don't paint quite that fast, although this is coming together quickly because it's so, I've so visualized it in my head already. Some more darks. Really wanting that evergreen to have some edges. And then just adding some marks that please me. I'm realizing there are different recurring themes in my paintings, and adding those marks that are just me, that's a really fun part of painting. And it's done. I had a wonderful time creating this abstract landscape, a beautiful autumn scene that has a real sense of energy and excitement to it. I'm excited about painting an abstract. Already my mind is thinking, how can I simplify this even more and break it down to the most important shapes? How can I play with watercolor and use the unique capacities of watercolor to create a landscape that's really fun to look at and tells a story to the viewer. Thank you for watching my video. I'm Angela Fehr. You can check out other videos on my YouTube channel. My username is Angela Fehr, or you can visit my website, www.angelafehr.com. Thank you.